Pregame.com.
Wisconsin, Stanford, it's the Rose Bowl. I tell you, when I saw that I was going to handicap this game, I was anxious to ask you, Bryan, let's just start here. The Alvarez factor. Pretty interesting story. How do you account for it?
Yeah, I heard about it at the time that it was reported on the radio, and it sounds like a tremendous deal for Wisconsin. The players, the coaches, not the coaches, the team captains went up and they said, we'd love to have Barry Alvarez coach this team. So they personally took a vote between the players and then went and asked for him. And I think that's huge for this team. And you know, most kids get a little upset where the coaches are going to leave. But instead of dealing with that, they said, you know what, let's do something else. Let's make this a positive. And they bring Barry Alvarez back. I think that's great.
Now, I think one of the best bowl trends or handicapping approaches is when a coach leaves before the game, that it's a fade. It's go against that team. Now, there's a little nuance in there, is if an internal guy is getting the job, it's less disruptive. Because if you think about it, if the internal guy isn't getting the job, the head guy's gone, someone on the staff steps up to be the head coach, but the interim head coach just for that one game. Here's the thing. He's going to be gone next year. So these players, and let's be honest, it's 2012. These are alpha males. They need to be controlled. I mean, it's about authority. And if you know that the coaches that are coaching you as a player aren't going to be there next year, you know, we've talked about the NFL side that, well, they're looking on film and they're going to judge next year. That's not happening in college. These kids got a scholarship. They're there. It strikes me that if all you do is bet against teams that have a coach leave before the bowl and they're not going to promote from within, you would do very well. So my first question is, do you agree with that conceptually?
Conceptually, I do. In this case, I don't.
And that's what the point I'm making. I think this is the exception that because, and I didn't even know that part about the players asking for it. I thought he stepped in and said, I'll do it. So, I mean, clearly you've got to say they're not only going to be focused, but they're going to be excited about it.
This is the third straight year they've gone to the Rose Bowl and they lost the last.
Which I think is, now that's an interesting point. Now, here's something else I've learned from talking to coaches and players after the fact. When they go to the same bowl game a second year, it's usually a huge letdown for them. Because one, the whole thing about a bowl, they go down there 5, 6, 7 days beforehand. They tour things. They get to meet the governor, all these different things. Well, if you've done it before, it's like, how excited are you going to be?
Yes, but this is the goal for being in the Big Ten. You want to play in the Rose Bowl. This isn't playing in the Monarchy Card.
But do you think if they lost last year, or excuse me, if they had won last year, I think you just made the point that actually has changed my mind about that. The fact that they haven't won, and a lot of these seniors or juniors, this is going to be their third shot, it seems like it adds even more to their motivation.
It definitely does. I mean, the last thing they want to be known of is the team that went to the Rose Bowl 3 straight years and lost.
All right, Big Ten, 7 bowl games. They're underdogs in all 7 of them. The SEC, 9 bowl games, favored in all 9. Now, a lot of the Big Ten people are saying, well, Ohio State's out, Penn State's out, so all the slots have been moved. But that clearly applies here. Ohio State would be in this game if they didn't make the BCS, which I don't think they would have. Is the Big Ten just a fade in the bowls? I
don't agree. A lot of people are talking about them being an underdog in every game. Well, they're playing tougher teams. I mean, look at the MAC. Look at the Sun Belt. I mean, if they were playing teams in the MAC or the Sun Belt, do you think the Big Ten would be underdogs? It's all based on the competition they're playing.
But in general, I mean, it's been 5, 7, 8 years. It's like fade Big Ten, fade Big Ten. I mean,
how has that worked out? Does it work out every year? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Every year is.
So you're not looking to fade the Big Ten?
I'm not looking as a general rule just to fade any conference, other than maybe Conference USA, where I think no team in that conference deserves to be a favorite in any bowl game.
Now, I like this Stanford program. I mean, it was a transition year. Clearly, the Harbaugh DNA it feels like it's still there. They've covered 10 of 11 against non-conference teams, which I'm always interested. That's often about motivation. If you're a bigger favorite early in the year, it's about ability to coach, with only a week's notice against an unfamiliar team oftentimes, though the bowl game's different than that. I don't think you make a living betting against Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford's a well-disciplined team. They're a physical team. They can also beat you in the passing game. But I've been more impressed with their defense. Not a single team has scored more than 23 points against this team all season long. It's just a team that plays solid football, and that's what you like. Similarly, they play Big Ten-style football.
Why is this total 47? It almost feels trappy to me. You've got not only do you have running teams, but you got teams that actually do well against the run. And that's something that Stanford is third in the nation against the run. Doesn't this total seem almost, it's like shockingly high, it seems like to me.
I think it is a little high.
Okay. You know something? This is different. I've always told you, I tell Marco, the whole point of these videos is to share information, and someone might say something that actually, the fact that no one changes their picks, I think is a mistake, because I can't believe that getting to talk to a professional bettor like you, a guy, let's be candid, that's gotten in the finals of the Cantor $5,000 contest 2 straight years. You're clearly one of the premier guys in town. I think you've talked me off of this. My initial pick was going to be over. It was so trappy to me. It felt like they know something I don't, that they made this total so high. But the more I heard about this Alvarez thing, I'm changing my pick. Producer Cade, you're going to put up the graphic we've got, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to X through it. I'm going to make you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it right now. Let's make this official. Okay, first time ever, X through the pick whenever it shows up. I'm going with Wisconsin. Bryan convinced me here. I think that the third year, these seniors and juniors trying to win for the first time that Rose Bowl, them asking Alvarez, I think we got motivation. I don't want to bet against Stanford too often, but in this one, I think it's better than the total. It's a TV game. It's a Rose Bowl. I'm betting pizza money on it. Wisconsin's the pick. There you go. Now remember, now you can do this when I convince you.
If you ever do convince.
That's the thing. Now I've got my goal. All right, guys, good stuff. We got one more bowl game, and we're going to be talking Louisville, Florida. Remember, you can get all of our videos, pregame.tv. Talk to you then.